Welcome to the Intentional Pause podcast. I'm Dr. Chris Sopa, but you can call me Dr. Chris. Each week, we'll explore personal growth, self-awareness, leadership, and the power of slowing down in a fast-moving world, where we create space to slow down, hear your own voice again, and make more intentional choices in work and life. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I have such a treat for you today. I'm so excited. So I have my coach, Joe White, today, and you're going to absolutely love Joe. I absolutely love Joe. Joe has been an expert coach for 27 years. He is the president of the Firewalking Institute, which we are definitely going to talk about. And he is my coach. And I tell you what, as a coach, it is sometimes hard to find a coach. And he is my coach because he is like a no bullshit coach. Like Joe actually will say to me, like, Chris, cut the bullshit. And that's why I love him, because very few people have permission to tell me that, but Joe has permission. And he is fantastic. His story is also really unique. He has had some really prominent pause moments in his own life, and he is just brilliant. He really is brilliant. I just love him to death. So I hope listening to me and Joe today have this conversation, you can connect with something he says, and his story just helps you pause and reflect, and some of the things we talk about here today. All right, so let's talk to Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hello. Good morning or good afternoon, I guess, wherever someone's at.
We are morning here still. I guess you're afternoon, right?
A little bit. We're getting there.
Yeah. So this is weird because usually when we're on Zoom, I have my notepad in front of me and I'm in coaching mode. So I have to shift the mindset a bit here. Yeah, because this is very, very different.
Same Zoom, different environment. Right, yeah.
Different. I'm sure you'll throw a coaching moment or two in. I do not doubt it.
I hope not.
Yeah, but no, thanks so much for being here. I am so excited to have you. When I started this, I thought the perfect first guest is Joe, just because of who you are, and you are so good at what you do, and just a brilliant coach. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Love it. All right, so I'm going to start with a question before we get into who you are, because I want you to talk about who you are, but I want to start with a question. All right, this podcast is called The Intentional Pause, and when I use the term intentional pause, tell me what that means to you.
Well, you know how much I love language. So based upon
language, yes.
I do. I'm a linguist nerd. But the intentionality, right, part of it, to me, that is taking a moment and connecting yourself, right? It could be taking your wins off the table. It could be making sure the direction that you're going in is the right direction, like you didn't veer off course, or maybe what you wanted, maybe it's no longer what you want. You know, maybe in that journey, you're meant to go off that road and somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Or sometimes I think we also need time to heal. You know, I'm a no bullshit coach, but the same side that I'm someone like, we're meant to feel everything. I don't think expressing feelings is ever the right move, right? I think that's where things go from not good to bad to worse.
Right.
So I think that's an intentional pause to heal. You know what I mean? You've discharged so much over a situation, you need to fill back up. You need to recharge not just the physical batteries, but those emotional batteries as well.
Yeah. And I think every pause, there's a healing component to it. I really do. Because when we pause, it's just everything slows down, and that is where we heal, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally. You know, you talk about that all of the time. So, yeah, I love that. Great. Awesome. So just so people know about you, I want you to do a couple things. I want you to tell us a little bit about your background, you know, your journey, and kind of what led you to the work you're doing today. And please, in that, include not only your coaching, but the Firewalk Institute, okay?
Okay. So my story starts off very unconventional. Never thought I would end up here at all or set out by design. But my story goes back 30 some years ago. I moved to New York City in 89. 3 years of college, dropped out, moved to New York City. I met a famous photographer. He put me in Interview Magazine, back cover Interview Magazine, 6 pages that spread in Rolling Stone, Vanity Fair. I was window displayed the
I
picture
never
at
knew this about you,
Valentino.
Joe. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. The guy's name is Stephen Meisel. If you Google Stephen Meisel and Joe White, you can find some of them. The Rolling
Wow.
Stones, and he shot Madonna's "Like a Virgin" cover and her sex book.
Wow.
So he's like, upper echelon,
Yeah.
and he discovered me, right. So he put me on the stuff. So I moved to New York City. I wanted to be a singer. I had the look. I didn't have the voice, right. But I moved to New York City. I got a job working at the Limelight. It was a 18th, 19th, century church that converted to a discotheque, a very famous, iconic place on 20th and 6th Avenue.
Yeah.
And I went there, and I never really did drugs and alcohol that much, but it didn't take me very long to get caught up in that lifestyle. And one thing led to another, and the singing career never went anywhere. The modeling career never went anywhere, and the only thing that was left was, me using drugs. Eventually, overdose. I died. I resuscitated. I was in a Colombian drug smuggler, I kid you not, apartment loft. Me and my girlfriend, and I must have passed out, stopped breathing. He looked at me and goes, "Your boyfriend's dying. He can't stay here. Cops can't come in this place. Drag him outside. I will call 911." And she did that. Right. And the EMTs came, they saved my life. Went to St. Vincent's Hospital, got out on the next day, a Saturday. First thing I thought was, cocaine can't kill me. I'm going to prove it wrong. So I continued to use, moved back home to my mom and dad's. There about 6, 8 months until they realized their liquor bottles only contained water now, no liquor. They kicked me out. So I moved to this 2-room apartment in a small town, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. I was seeing a psychiatrist, psychologist. I was antidepressants, and I was depressed all the time. And I saw an infomercial at 1 a.m. for Tony Robbins, right? And I thought that was complete like BS, but something he said registered with me, that your past doesn't equal your future. And I mean, it doesn't matter how many times, like we think because we failed 100 times, the 101st time we're going to fail again. That's not true. It's like flipping a coin, 100 flips, it's always 50-50 odds, right? And it just resonated with me. I listened to the same tapes 3 consecutive nights at 1 a.m. Eventually, I decided to buy the tapes. I thought my problem was cocaine. I didn't realize there was anything else underneath that driving it. So I started listening to the tapes. It was November of 93. And it was the first time in my life, because traditional therapy never worked for me, And the therapy from then and now has changed so much. It was much more linear back then. Yeah. And it just didn't work for me, but like this stuff did, because this is like what like therapy, like cognitive behavior therapy, right? And what predates cognitive behavior therapy is NLP, neuro linguistic programming, which is really a study. Which is a study of Milton Erickson, probably the most famous clinical hypnotherapist. Virginia Satir, one of the most famous. She was a great, brilliant hypnotherapist too. But really, family therapy, dynamics. She created that. And Fritz Perl, Gestalt therapy, the disassociation, getting out of subjective, getting more objective data, right? And that's what NLP, then cognitive behavior therapy, kind of developed from that a little bit. And that's what NLP is. It's really understanding like the mechanics of how and what we do. And I took all that knowledge and I developed a whole other mindset that sits on top of it, you could say, because the problem is emotions lie. And we can't live our lives through our emotions, right? Because they're going to give us false readings. It's like when we do firewalking, people say, "Oh, I'm so scared, I could never firewalk," right? But I can't do that. That's a lie. Yeah, but your body's lying because you never tried it. Right, you may say you don't want to, but you never tried it. So because we feel emotions, that gives us the illusion that it's always true, but it's not. So we have to learn how to step about and understand what the mechanics are, the objectivity of how things work in our lives, our emotions, our behaviors, our thoughts, our feelings. Then we take that data and then we learn how to navigate life, which is in that subjective side, right? We live our lives with our emotions. We can't make decisions with our emotions very rarely. It works out well a few times, but not mostly. So I developed this concept. It's really it's like mechanics. The mechanics of why and what we do. And where I really focus is I really try to train my clients to be a coach in their lives, because problems are a sign of life. The only people who don't have problems are in the cemetery. But if you don't get the same problem, if you have the same problem every year, you're not growing. Yeah. So you want new problems, right? If someone's is struggling financially, and then somebody wants to change that, and all of a sudden now their work is so busy, it's affecting their home life. That's a different quality problem. They didn't have that one before. Right. It's important to resolve, but it's a higher level.
Yeah. I love it. How'd you get into the firewalking?
Well, I got very involved with Tony Robbins. I listened to those same tapes for 5 years over and over again, right? And then
they were literally tapes back then, can I just say?
I have them in my basement. Yeah. Yeah, and if you remember, it has this 3-dimensional man running, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did, and then I got very involved in, so let me backtrack here a little bit. So a friend of mine took me to WrestleMania in Philadelphia, Stone Cold Steve Austin with The Rock. And I saw a scrolling banner, Tony Robbins coming to the Spectrum. I'm like, what? Right? So, or maybe it was at the First Union or the other stadium, the arena. So I went home, I bought tickets, and I was so empowered, right? Because the big thing that got me there it was Tony and a whole bunch of other speakers, but the immersion aspect. Yeah. We want things in little bites because it's convenient, but we learn, we shift, we grow most through immersion, right? Not through dabbling. And I immersed myself. I signed up for my first seminar. I did my first fire walk, right? It was so crazy. I stared at my feet for 30 minutes after the walk in my hotel. Insane. Yeah. And then I got very involved.
One of those immersion events where it's a seminar that's 2 days and you go from 7 a.m. to midnight type thing?
Yeah.
Those are intense.
It was UPW. Yeah, it's a great event. I did it a whole bunch of times because I started going and I did all his programs, and did multiple. Then eventually I got into leadership, and then eventually I was recruited to be a coach for him. And I went through the first round. I loved what Tony was doing, but I am an entrepreneur, and I already started developing this different mindset of coaching. You know what I mean? I didn't want to help Tony fulfill his dreams. I wanted me to fulfill my dreams, right? And that was to make a measurable impact on people's lives. And so I started Get Life Coaching, my coaching company, in '99. And we used to do seminars, long immersion seminars too, because I love that stuff, right? And we used to do board breaks at my seminars because I have a couple of black belts in martial arts. And then finally, a friend of mine who I knew from Tony Robbins called me, I think it was 2011. I was on I-95. He said, just got back from the Firewalking Institute. This is where Tony Robbins learned how to firewalk. And I just got certified. And I also got certified in glass walking, bending steel rebar with our throat, board breaking, brick breaking, all this stuff, right? And I was I immediately drove to my office in Wilmington, Delaware, and signed up, right? Wow. And I went down there, and then I started doing seminars, right? And it's the same story as Tony Robbins almost. I started doing firewalk seminars for myself. I got very involved with the Firewalking Institute. I eventually became a master, top-level instructor, eventually the head trainer. And then 5-6 years ago, right, the owner wanted to move to Florida, so he sold me the company. And then I
Love it.
moved it from Dallas, Texas to Delaware. And we do firewalk trainings. We have a firewalk tomorrow night, June 20th. We also have, we also do a lot of corporate firewalks, Heineken, GE. We do a lot of business organizations, young presidents organizations,
Yeah, it's like a team
entrepreneur
building
organization.
thing, right? Like corporate can do it.
Or an event, yeah, or like an empowerment event. We've also done TV shows like Mythbusters and Impractical Jokers. So we do a lot with it. Yeah, I really enjoy it because everyone has a visceral connection to fire. Everyone feels something, right? And like at the fire, I'm only the conductor. I'm not making music. It's really my job to set everything up. The fire, the people, get everybody where it needs to be, and then the magic happens. Because fire walking is a transformative process. It's so incredible. It has nothing to do.
Tell me this. This is what I want to know about fire walking. How do your feet not get burnt? Like even the glass, like glass walking, fire walking. I know that's probably a long answer, but if you can make it, like how do your feet not get burned?
Okay, I'll be totally transparent here. Okay, because we call it FIT, Firewalk Instructor Training. Now we teach the science of fire walking, and there is science. This is not like, oh, this is impossible. No, you can do it. Now, why we train the way we do is to, make sure the coals and the temperature is appropriate for the group and what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So there's, but there's no secret to fire walking, right? A long time ago, people thought it was the Leiden-Frost principle, right? Going back to physics, whereas like you lick your finger, touch something hot, you don't get burned, right? There's that layer of protection, right? Not true. It's been scientifically disproven. So if you look at everything else, the big thing that allows us a little bit is conductivity theory, that you're really not on the coals that long. Right. Okay. But I will say this, we do longer fire walks. We've done 20, 40 feet fire walks. So each step you take, your feet heats up. So the conductivity theory starts to go out the window. Advanced fire walk seminars, we teach fire standing, or after we fire walked, we stand on the coals. So no, they're not 1,200 degrees, but they're like 5, 6, 7. Right? And we stand for minutes on them.
Really?
So there is no theory that describes everything we do. It really doesn't, right? I mean, science is in there, but it doesn't matter because when you get up there, you're not thinking science, you're feeling fear. Right. And at that moment, it's not about the fire, it's how you respond to that fear. Because in that moment, because you're immersed and it's so intense and unique, you get an amazing opportunity for one-time learning. Okay,
almost like right there. Oh my God.
Yeah, I go one because it's not about the fire; it's about your relationship with fear. And I guarantee you, me, everybody has an area of life that we're avoiding, we're pausing unhealthily and unintentionally in, right? In a way to avoid pain, discomfort, even though it's causing more pain and discomfort, right? We're pausing, we're hesitating in our own lives. So it teaches us. Right? Mechanically, it teaches us skills and also teaches us that we can do it, that we can override, take action in spite of the fear or whatever's going through our heads, right?
So powerful.
And because of that, the firewalk just becomes this transformative experience. It's different for everybody, And I say this because, 1 out of 4 people will experience a kiss from the fire. A kiss is either like a little hot spot, right? Yeah. Or like a little blister, like if you had a new pair of shoes on, right? Yeah. Right. But like that's like 1 out of 4. And like a lot of people kind of like getting it because it makes them feel like I did something unique. I really did something powerful here, right? There's an old story where the founder of the company and Gerardo Rivero, the founder was on Gerardo. And make a long story short, it was a live fire walk. And they were rushed to kind of get it together and do it. So Tawi got got burned and Gerardo got burned. And the next day they talked, and the founder shared with Gerardo that day, the firewalk, a thing called Jinsu Jitsu. It's an acupressure for burn victims, right? It's a piece of a constellation. Yeah, it's behind the kneecap, slightly up and in. And he showed it to him, and it took all the kisses away overnight. It's really incredible.
Really?
Like, you just want to Google it. Yeah, right.
Wow.
And so he called him on the phone, and he was so excited about like the jiu-jitsu, the blisters, and the founder was getting a little miffed because he wasn't talking about the firewalk, right? He wanted the props here, right? And he goes, I feel you're disappointed. He goes, whoa. He goes, you're missing my point if you're disappointed. My point was, if I walked on that fire and I didn't feel anything, if I didn't get anything, I would have thought, oh, I could have always done this. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Duh. But the fact that I felt something, the fact that I got physical marks, like Downton Thomas, right? Physical marks proved to me I did something extraordinary.
Yeah. Wow.
How cool is that, right? How powerful is that?
Amazing. And that is a good transition to what I want to talk about next. So
Go.
You are amazing at talking, if you guys haven't noticed so far, something you call managing your state. And it has to do with emotions. I mean, you tell us, what is managing your state? When you say, hey, we've got to manage your state, which I hear a lot, I know, in my coaching. You tell us what it is.
Yeah, it's simple. It's the single most important skill, right? Because without that, we are like a boat with no tether to circumstances. So now we're a victim, we're disempowered, right?
Yeah.
And and to our own emotion. So I don't like the odds there, right? So managing your emotional state is putting yourself in the state you need to be in to achieve the outcome you want. How about that?
Yeah.
Real simple.
That. Repeat
right?
that. Say it again.
Yeah. It's about getting yourself in the state you need to be in, which then presupposes I have to identify what that state is and then have a way to get there, right? But that's not that hard, right? So that, let me start over again. What did I say? Managing your emotional states. So you can manage your emotional state so that regardless of the situation, you achieve the outcome you want.
Yeah, love it.
Right?
Love it. Yeah.
Right. And when I talk like that, that's mechanical talking, right? I mean, think about like this. You can almost see a sequential logic here, right? What's my outcome? What state do I need to be in there? Right? Maybe like what are the things that are getting in the way or could influence me, and how do I get in there and how do I stay in there? Right?
Yeah.
Right there. It's a 5-step recipe.
Yeah. Yeah. So go through those 5 steps briefly of what, if I want, because when we talk about managing your state, it's 2 different things for me. All right. For me, I'm in the middle of some emotional thing and I realize, oh my gosh, I need to manage my state. It's like a kick in the ass, right? All right. I need to take a breath. I need to manage my state. I need to reel it in and manage my state. But then one of the things you've taught me recently that I don't even know if you know how powerful it was, is that I had a little disagreement with somebody, and you talked to me about like prepping for my state, like prepping, like knowing like, hey, this person triggers you, this situation might trigger you. You need to manage your state before you go in, like manage it to prepare to be triggered so you are ready with those things in your back pocket. So I feel like it's really the same thing, managing your state, but it's like 2 different ways. One, you're in the moment and you catch it and it's like, okay, I got to manage my state. And then another one, you're kind of prepping for it. And I know the 5 steps go through that, but talk about how we manage our state.
Yeah, it's interesting because, that's a whole piece of like self-coaching, right? Identifying your triggers, indicators, what triggers you, what are your indicators so you know, right?
Yep.
And then what are strategies, like preemptive, like when you know the trigger is going to be there, or in the moment when you're surprised, right?
Yep.
Because, think about this. This is what athletes do. And I love looking at athletes in sports, whether you're a sports fan or not, right? Because things play out in a very short defined window, like 4 quarters of football or one season or even one career isn't that long. 10 years in theory isn't that long. So you see cycles complete right in there. And every major athlete has a prep before a competition.
Right.
They have a ritual. LeBron, right? They all do, right? Some are high energy, some are like lower energy, but they all have their rituals to get themselves in that state. Now, what separates good from great is the ability to stay in that state. Right? More pressure, harder to stay there. Game 7 of a championship, even harder. That's why the Michael Jordans, the Tom Brady's, the Kobe Bryants are freaking legendary, because they have done it consistently at the highest level when almost every one of their peers have failed. You know what I mean?
So
like, imagine how hard it is to raise the bar to win 7 championships or 6 Super Bowls. It's so, it goes against the mechanics of life. You know what I mean? Because Tom Brady said this in an interview.
Every single time people expect more and more.
Yeah, but look at it from the psychological standpoint. Tom Brady said this because after I won like my 3rd Super Bowl, I was like, I have no place to go but down.
Yeah.
How amazing that insight is. I have no place to go but down. Because when we succeed, we relax. That's our human nature. No, we hunt, then we relax and eat. But here it's like you hunt, and then you got to raise the bar again. And then you got to raise the bar again. Like, there's no relaxing. And I don't mean like in the season. I just mean that mindset is always, I have to raise the bar more. And there's a point where the body doesn't want to. The motivation, like, I got to prove everybody wrong. I've already proven them. I got more money than I ever will need, and my kids will need, right? It's hard to find motivation when there's not pain. One of the challenges with some of my clients is they come to me and some are like desperate in pain, and they're the easiest ones. The ones are, and then there's ones who really want something and they're easy. The middle group is the ones that don't want to be where they're at and want something else, but they're really not in that much pain. Their life is pretty good, and that's a good thing. But you don't have that pain pushing down on you that's driving you. I got to take action now. I can't stay here. I can't be here another day more. So you need to create that in your own body to create that drive, and that is hard to do every year or over a span of 17 years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when you're playing at the level, that level.
Yeah, it's hard, and this may go along with it, but I know one of the things I talk about sometimes with my clients is, specifically with athletes, like if you think about Olympians who their whole life they are training to win that gold medal. And then they finally win the gold medal. They get to the top of the top and they've done it. But a lot of them end up in depression. A lot of them end up like, now what? What's next?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's like they're at the top of the top. And they haven't thought about anything else but that one goal, right? Their whole life.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
You know who else had that?
Who?
The Apollo astronauts.
Really?
After you've been to the moon,
I see that. Yeah.
After you've been to the moon and back and had a ticker tape parade, it's all downhill after that, baby.
Yeah.
And alcoholism and depression was rampant with the Apollo astronauts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Post-lunar.
I mean, because it's human nature, we need something to look forward to. And then when you achieve that goal, that's why it's so important to always have something to look forward to, that next goal, because we very easily, I think, human nature fall into that, and this is where I think knowing how to manage your state, knowing how to be self-aware enough of saying, hey, wow, I'm feeling this way, what would you do? Like, so let's go back to kind of the athletes and how to manage your state. What do you do when you realize I want to manage my state, I'm not in a state I want to be in? Talk to us about that.
The other thing I wanted to just tag, just so that you're aware of, is that I always, when I hit like the 80% mark of achieving a goal, that's when I set the next goal.
Oh, that's a
right?
great practice. I
Right.
love
Like
that.
you got to set the goal before you achieve the next goal, the goal
Yeah.
you're working on. You got to set the new goal. So
Yeah.
you kind of overlap them a little bit. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you try to butt them together, that space, we lose momentum, right?
Right.
I just wanted to throw that in there, right?
No, and
So,
I wanna just touch on that really quick because that is why this whole podcast is about pausing. That pause in between goals, I think is
yeah,
what scares people. That I talked in my last episode about why people are afraid to pause because sometimes in that pause there's things that we don't want to see, we don't want to feel, we don't want to experience. And this is an example, I think, of where the overlapping of the not having a pause would be a good thing. Would you agree?
right. Unless you wanted to pause, then
Yeah.
then you can modify the strategy. 100%. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about how to manage your state. Let's dig in there real quick.
So the big thing is, right, the first thing is you got to know your outcome. You got to know where you want to be. Okay. And outcomes and goals are different from me, right? Outcomes is something that's under my control. Okay. It's what the goal gives me. Right. So because when you set if you set, and then for me, it's outcomes are here. Goals is how I get to my outcomes.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And goals can be under my control or not under my control, but outcomes got to be 100% under my control. So they got to be overarching enough to fall under that classification. But you got to be clear on that outcome, and you got to figure out what state do I operate best in there, right? So, if you get angry all the time, what's the state do you need to be in instead of anger? Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's the opposite, anger, calm, right? Right. Or maybe another one was like fear. Okay. I'm feeling fear every time. Okay. So what do you need to feel instead? Is it confidence? Maybe it's trust, faith. It could be anything, right?
Yep. Okay.
And then you need a way to get yourself in that state. So you got to have, some strategy. Now we do it naturally. We do this stuff naturally, right? For example, like a parent. If a parent is feeling sick and then all of a sudden their child gets sick, that parent they manage their emotional state great. Whatever they do, they get out of their worry, get out of their feeling like sick, and they 100% take care of their kids.
Yeah.
Right. And all their focus. So they did that. They did all that subconsciously. And then once that's over, what happens? Then they go back to the room, go back to bed, couch, whatever, and the sickness just comes back on them. Happens to every mom, every dad out there with kids.
Well, it happens when you're going all day long without pausing, by the way.
Yeah.
I had to throw that in. And then if you sit down just for a second, your body's like, oh, yeah, it's time to relax. And so a lot of people just go because they know the minute they start to relax that's telling their body like, oh, now I'm not going to have energy anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do this naturally, right? Like, I'm sure there's times where you're doing your own personal crap, and then you have a session with one of your clients, and somehow, some way, you have a internal ritual of getting out of my crap in my life to, okay, now I'm in this space to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
We do this. The problem is it's so unconscious. Most people don't know how to pull it out and make it something that's duplicatable and replicatable, right?
Yeah. And doing it consciously on purpose.
Yeah. So you need that step. Then you got to figure out what are the obstacles. What are going to be the things that knock you out? I am not a positive thinker. Positive thinking. No. If the floodwaters are coming and you're being positive that you're going to be okay, you're going to drown to death, right? Yeah, you want to have a positive attitude, but that's not really what we're after. So I'm fine with looking at negative stuff. I want to have contingency plans, right? Like my goal is what will sink a dream, sink anything, very rarely isn't something you see coming. Because you can prepare for that. You can tact. What does it is something that you don't see coming. That's always my fear of missing something, right?
Yeah, that
Coming from my yeah. So this strategy is like get everything in front of you. You're just like a wide receiver. I mean, not wide receiver, a defensive back in football. Trying to anything but a touchdown. You keep everybody in front of you. That's what I want to do. I want to be aware of them, man. I want to be prepared for them. Most people don't want to look at them because they're scared of them. I look at them because if I don't look at them, they have power over me. If I look at them, I'm now claiming my power over them, right? Yeah. So I want to know what they are and have strategies, right? Then I want to physically get myself in that state. And then once I get myself there, then I have to figure out how to stay there, right? It's like with anything. Losing weight is somewhat easy compared to keeping the weight off for the most people. Getting clean and sober, in the moment, it's the worst thing. It's the hardest thing in the world. But looking back, getting clean was easy. Staying clean?
Yeah, most of the time the hardest part is the staying, the maintaining.
And that's why people usually skip that step, right? Yeah. And I think if you look at our analogy of players, right? I think a lot of people do all those steps right until they get into that state, but they don't know how to stay in it. What makes the greats of the greats so great is the fact that they do it with such precision of getting in that state and then staying in that state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's scary how good they are. Mm-hmm. But it's the same mechanics. And everything I teach, I don't make up. I mean, I just look. What I'm good at is looking what happens naturally and being able to see the mechanics and then being able to take it and teach it and coach people through it. Right? All I really do is teach people stuff they already do naturally.
Yeah,
that's why
you bring it to their awareness. So you do that really well. I know some of the sessions we've had, I've realized wow, I'm already doing this. I just didn't realize I was, and then it's tweaking it a little bit.
Yeah, and figure out how to make it better and more aerodynamic and efficiencies and all that stuff. But yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So managing your state is huge. I mean, I even say that to my clients all the time. It's because you have to know how to do that. And it really starts with self-awareness. You've got to realize you're in a certain state or you're not before you realize, okay, something needs to change here. This is not working. Yeah. I need to do better, whatever it might be. Love that. Love it. So last question.
But let me add one thing.
Please.
Because if someone's listening and they don't coach with me or work with you or whatever, right? They're probably listening saying, yeah, thank you for unpacking it, but now what? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
So let me give a universe, one that almost works every time.
Okay.
Exit the room. Right? Take a break. Pause. There we go. Look at that circle back. Amazing.
Look at that.
Really,
beautiful.
Really, what you need is a pause for real, right? Physical pause. Leave the room. I have walked into many men's bathrooms and stalls to collect myself and change my state when things, middle seminars. I got to go to the restroom. Let's take a 5-minute bathroom break. For me, it was all for me. I did this one seminar for a big company. And I won't get into it, but they kicked someone out one year, and the year before, someone killed themselves, unfortunately, instead of coming. So there was a lot of hurt and a lot of stuff. And I was just in a relationship that my partner at the time ended. A week before. So you talk about I am freaking raw, not healthy raw, right? And here I am with 400 people, right? Massive room. And I'm doing a 3-hour talk, then to the fire walk. And I at one point on the stage, I was like, this ain't going to work, guys. I know what's going on. I know intellectually because I talk to y'all. And I also know emotionally because I feel it. What I have planned to talk to you is not going to work. I'm going to go a different direction.
You actually said that to the audience.
Oh, yeah. I remember looking back at the CEO of the company. I said, I hope you don't get pissed at me, but I really believe this is what your people need. Mm-hmm. Right? And I was right. But I wasn't in the right state yet.
Yep.
So here's what I did. We do this exercise called breathing in your heart, right? It's created by a company called Heart Math, right? And just hands on your heart.
Love that company, by the way.
Yeah, which is simple breathing. It's all visualization. It's so easy to do. But scientific studies show if you do it for 3 minutes, it gets you out of the brain that you're stuck in and into a more resourceful part of your brain, right? It's scientifically proven. It's really cool. So I did. So I'm like over to the AV guy. Do you have this song? Yeah, get it ready. And I did a closed eye, breathing your heart meditation for the whole group. Yes, they needed it too, but I needed it first. So I did it for them, but I did it for me too. Right. Because I wasn't in the right state, and I couldn't leave the room, and I couldn't go to the bathroom. Like I'm talking and processing at the same time, man. And I'm like, in the simplest way, let's do it together, man. It's like, you have multiple kids. We all go to the bathroom.
And that takes, can I just say for a second though, Joe, as a speaker, and those of you that are on stages a lot like Joe and I, that takes courage. Right? To do that, to realize like I am not in the right state, admitting it, changing course, that's huge. Seriously.
Well,
it's hard
thank
to
you.
do.
But I will say this, it is hard, but not as hard as people think when you are crystal clear on your outcome.
Yeah.
Right? I had I had so much clarity what my outcome there, especially with the new updated. It was like, do that or just be a fraud. And not do what I'm here to do, and just mail it in and go through the motions. And I have never done that, and I can't do that.
Yeah, that's not
so
you.
It was very like, endings be gone. It was no other choice but to push on. That's who I am, my identity.
Yeah. Oh, love it. Awesome. And in the show notes, I'm going to have all of your info because I know you've got some great stuff on your website too. Don't you have that heart meditation on your website, or there's some kind of link to it?
If somebody would, yes, but we're redoing our website, so it's not on there right now. We haven't built up to that yet. But if somebody would just like email me at joewhite@getlifecoaching.com, I'd be more than happy to send them the link.
Perfect. Yeah, because I know some people are going to be interested in that. All right. So this is where I switch gears. We talk about slowing down and pausing, but now we're going to speed it up. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a little fun. I'm going to ask you a series of questions that I just want you to answer.
Gotcha.
Got it? All right. And I'll faith in you, Joe. All faith.
Go ahead. Right. I'm confident here.
All right. It's like kind of like quick fire. All right. First question, a book that changed your life.
Siddhartha, Hermann Hesse. It was like the first book that impacted me. Yeah. It was a very difficult teacher in high school, and it opened my eyes. I wasn't ready yet to receive it, but began to create that runway to so much of my learning. Like The Alchemist and The Four Agreements and other amazing
Four
books.
Agreements is mine. Yeah, Don Miguel Ruiz. Love it. All right, second
that
question.
was going to be, but then Siddhartha popped in.
Yeah, I know, because that's always mine.
Yeah. And The Alchemist.
Good. Yeah. Daily habit you can't live without.
Daily habit that I can't live without. Like managing my actions. Right? Like I'm focused, but I can be distracted too, right? I can be all over the place, like with my stuff sometimes, right? And I get so many planes firing at me. I got so many different lanes, I drop ball. I don't want to drop balls. Yeah. So like when I am like writing my how I write out my actions and I organize all this stuff in my head, when I'm doing that regularly, right? I'm good.
All right.
Productively. When I'm not, I'm not. So,
and you do have a lot of energy, Joe. If people haven't realized that, Joe has a lot of energy. Good energy, like out there all the time.
I'm 59 years old. I've mellowed in the last 30-some years.
Really, you have. That is very true. I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
All right, next question. A quote you return to often.
My favorite is, above all else, to thine own self be true.
Yeah,
everything begins with that.
Yeah, it does. A lesson you're currently learning. See how I'm turning the tables here a little bit, Joe?
Yeah, no, I got it. I'm just picking. I got it. I'm just thinking of how to word it. It's going to sound broad, but it's really not. But it's like learning how to live again.
Yeah.
Like the last 5-6 years have been very challenging for various reasons. And it's like almost like resetting and then like starting fresh. It's like imagine having a spreadsheet, right? And it's so busy, so many tabs, all this stuff, but it's just so discombobulated, right? And maybe like, you know what? I'm just going to start fresh. I'm going to re-enter the most essential data and make sure it's all clean. That's kind of that's what I feel where I'm at in my process.
Yeah, love that one. Love it. All right, 2 more. One thing you wish more people would pause to consider.
That whatever they're going through, in most cases, isn't really that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right.
It feels that bad, but
but feelings lie. And there's help, because like one of the things that I'm passionate about is again, it's not talked about nearly enough because it's a pure epidemic, but the male suicide rate.
Yeah,
why?
I actually was just talking about that the other day with somebody.
Yeah, men don't open up. They struggle. Most men struggle opening up, and they don't talk, and they keep everything inside because that's how men are men. And it's to the point where they kill themselves, and it's just heartbreaking. I mean, I know people I've lost. Right, I felt that at times, like myself, like, oh shit, do I even want to be here? Right? So I just want to reference that.
Yeah. Last thing, if listeners were to take one thing away from our conversation today, what do you hope it is?
Well, manage your state, right? But I'm going to parlay that a little bit based on everything we're talking about and dovetail it together. And that is, don't give up. Don't ever give up. No matter how hard or how old or how many times you have failed, don't give up. You're alive. You're still in the game. There's still a way, right? Regardless, don't give up. And I don't mean off yourself. I just mean like just live the apathetic life, and I'm just going to live and breathe until the day I die.
Yeah. Love all of that. Love it. Love it. Joe, thank you so much for being here today and taking the time. I always do a pause with purpose moment, which I'm going to do next, but I wanted to just thank you. You are just brilliant at what you do. I love you so much. I know I see you for coaching next week, so...
Well, thank you for having me here. And this is a great podcast. It's a great topic, and you're going to have huge success with this.
I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks so much, and I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
All right, listeners. Pause with purpose moment. This is what I want you to do. All right. Remember, this is where I give you an action step. I give you something to think about. I give you a quote. So I want you to think about our conversation with Joe today. And after hearing Joe's story, I want you to pick one area of your life where you feel like, wow, I think I can manage my state a little bit better here, and put into practice one thing you heard Joe and I talk about, just one thing. All right. And try to do that. You can always reach out to me, make a comment, ask some questions if you need to, but that is your homework. And I want to leave you with a quote that Joe actually has on his website, front page of his website. The problem isn't your effort, it's the pattern running underneath it. Right? And this goes along with everything that we talked about. So thank you for listening. Until next time, remember just to slow down, make time to pause, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of The Intentional Pause. My hope is that something you heard today really encourages you and helps you slow down, reflect, and make space for what matters most. If you enjoyed this conversation, which I know I did, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with somebody who could use an intentional pause in their life or who could relate to the story. If you have a story you want to share or a question, please leave a comment. And if you want to talk to me about leadership development programs for your organization, some executive coaching maybe, or a keynote for an event, my contact info is in the show notes. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Sopa, and until next time, take care of yourself, trust the process, and remember, slowing down is not a weakness. It's where the power lies.